Guys, you're not going to believe this, alright? I just sold my last cow, and not for magic beans, but a magic jacket that can shrink you. I cannot wait. I had to share it with you guys when I test the thing. Alright, here we go. You just press this button here, that's what he said, and then I should just shrink in 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. Wow, it worked. That was awesome. I didn't think it would work. Holy shit. Alright. And grow. 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 Please grow. It won't grow. Right. He didn't say that I would be able to grow. Just shrink. Whew. Well, I guess I'm small now. It'll work, right? You don't mind this. I mean, it's not... I can't reach the green screen anymore. I mean, the cinema, obviously. I mean, it's not that bad, you know. I mean, being small has its advantages. I mean, now I won't have to worry about trying to fit in tight spaces or, you know, other things that you can do when you're short. I mean, getting food out of the pantry and fridge is going to have to be out of the question, and I don't even know how the hell I'm going to go to the toilet now, but... You know, I mean, I should be famous for this, at least, you know, the small man. Well, I suppose we already have small people, but that doesn't count. I'm smaller, you know, look at me. I'm fucking... this place is huge now, you know? Like, some space for activities. Step Brothers, yeah, well, probably won't be able to watch that again either. How the hell am I going to put discs in drivers now? This is going to be terrible. You know what? I think this is the start of something beautiful. You and me, I mean, we could take this anywhere we want. We could go anywhere we want. We could do anything. We could probably get rich off it, you know? That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Oh, shit. Oh. Hello everyone, my name is Blake. Welcome back to the cinema. If you're new, welcome to the cinema. Today we're here with Ant-Man. Ant-Man is the last film in Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it was a surprise to say the least. Ant-Man, generally before this, was considered a very obscure character. I knew about it because I was just a superhero and comic book fan, and Hank Pym was my Ant-Man. But he was generally considered obscure, and it's amazing that they got this film. And again, somehow against the odds, Marvel had turned out another great film, and against all of its predecessors, probably one of the funniest MCU films there is. So I said Hank Pym was my Ant-Man, but in this film we go with Scott Lang, the criminal that turns into the successor of Ant-Man. Little bit off topic, but I forgot to mention it in the Age of Ultron review that Hank Pym originally created Ultron, and it would have been cool to have maybe some of these blueprints or something for Ultron coming from Hank Pym, but he wasn't cast, didn't exist at that point in time, so it's fine, it is what it is. Just something else in case you didn't know, Hank Pym created Ultron. So Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, fantastic job. He carries this film easily. It is great to see Michael Douglas here. He also does a great job. One of the first things I want to touch on is the suit redesign. Again, in comics and in all sorts of lore, there's endless redesigns and reinterpretations of characters, and rarely do those reinterpretations become my favorite version of that character. And the costume that they have for Ant-Man here is probably my favorite one. I like it a lot more than what they had in the comics. Don't know if I would say it's like a motorcycle suit, but I like the helmet design. I like that you can still see the eyes clearly so you can read a lot of emotion. Again, this is one of, if not the funniest film in the MCU. I know humor is very subjective, but this film, I'm laughing constantly every time I watch it, and a lot of that is owed to Michael Pena. I love his flashback stories that he tells that are like 5 minutes long. They're brilliant. Another thing, I just want to have a brief shout out to whatever team did the CGI here in this film. Not that, wow, that one shot was incredible and this just blew me away and it was an amazing special effect, but the little things, I never once go, oh, the ants there, they look so fake and it just doesn't work, because I'm not even noticing it or thinking about it. That's what makes it fantastic, when it seamlessly blends into the film. So bravo to that. I just wanted to give you guys a quick shout out because it's a great technical achievement. So it's a heist movie at its core, and I think it's the only heist film there is in all the MCU from memory. I could be wrong. And speaking of the wider MCU, I also love the scene where Ant-Man shows up at the Avengers base and has to take on Falcon. It's the little things like that that just interconnect all these films and make each film one you just have to go and see one after another and not just skip it. It's that stuff that makes us so much more engaged with this world and where it's going ultimately. It's funny, Michael Pena kills it. It's a heist movie, which is very unique, but ultimately it feels like another chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and not this one you just can't skip it. And none of these you can really skip, but it wasn't a massive film that you just had to see, and Ant-Man shook the world. I think it's a bit difficult on this film though because it just followed Age of Ultron and you've got all these big movies in between and they have to go more small-scaled, pun not intended. Another one of the elements in this film that I think falls apart over time is the villain. Corey Stoll as Yellow Jacket I feel like he overacts it too much. There's just a bit too much on the nose. I am a villain and I have nothing more to offer. A lot of the dialogue he's given is very generic bad guy stuff, but that's not entirely on Corey, that's on the writer's part as well. The villain really feels like an afterthought and all they wanted to do was just build up Ant-Man and have him as an established character for films to come. One of the aspects of this film I find most interesting was during production, Edgar Wright was supposed to be the one that helmed this film, and I sit back and wonder now what that would have looked like, you know, an Ant-Man film in the style of like Baby Driver meets Hot Fuzz, really fast edits and quick cuts. I can't remember the exact reason why ultimately Marvel and Edgar Wright had a falling out and it just didn't end up pairing together. And I remember a lot of people being concerned that once Edgar Wright came off the film that, oh, maybe Ant-Man might be the first massive flop that the MCU has. Still, somehow, Marvel churned out another great superhero film, and at this point, Marvel were getting really good at taking very obscure properties in Guardians of the Galaxy or Ant-Man and making them into these giant, multi-million-dollar films. It's too easy for me to sit here and criticize these movies and say that this is wrong and they could have done this better. I'll tell you how they could have done it better. I think what this movie needed was a charismatic villain, someone who stole the spotlight as much as Paul Rudd did. And I think someone like Justin Hammer would have been perfect. Someone that is just so engaging to watch and isn't just evil for the sake of being evil and chews up the scenery, and maybe is using this as a way of getting back at Stark. I also really love, and I remember at the time people are really appreciating, when Hank Pym is sitting there going, hey look, this could be the end of the world, and Scott Lang's like, shouldn't our first move be to get the Avengers? I love that it's here, I love that it's addressed, because at the time it was another thing like how people weren't dying in these films. Here, why don't you get the Avengers to just come in and help with this new solo hero every time? Another generic aspect, even though the child actor is great, is Scott Lang's daughter. You can tell that she's going to be there as almost the damsel in distress for this film. It wasn't great when everything became very predictable, but even so, even with that, the film is still so much fun. It never drags, it never loses my attention, even though it's doing a lot of the same gimmicks that we've seen a lot of times before. It still has my attention 100% and I'm enjoying it. Just before we wrap up with the grade, I want to talk about the first post-credit sequence. I'll talk about the second one after the grade. First one being that Hope is given a look at her wasp suit for the first time, which was really cool. I really grew to like her and Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Have you seen that before? Really good. And yeah, it was a good teaser for a sequel to come or where these films are going. The second teaser though, I'll grade the film first. So Ant-Man, despite its tropes and things we've seen over and over before, still remains somehow fresh and fun and absolutely hilarious. So Ant-Man for me is going to get a solid 7 out of 10. It's a lot of fun. It's not special, but it's a lot of fun. I recommend you watch it. Don't skip it when you're watching all the Marvel movies. At this point, you shouldn't have skipped any. Watch every one that I have in this playlist, because each one ties into the next one, which ties into the next one, and it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Now, second post-credit scene. We get something completely different. We get to see Bucky. He's got his arm stuck under, what are they called? He's trapped. His arm is pinned down. Cap and Falcon are there going, okay, we're against the law, this is not good. And Falcon's like, I think I've got someone that can help, referring to Ant-Man before it just cuts to black. We got a little snippet of Civil War and we're all sitting there going, what? Bucky's there, we gotta wait a year? Why did we wait a year? Why did we wait a year? Oh my god. One of the longest waits of my life. I cannot wait to start phase 3 But that is it. That is Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Another solid phase. I remember the announcement of Phase 3 and the excitement around everything when the third Captain America was originally going to be the Serpent Society. I'm glad it was Civil War, and it just gets bigger from here. Even though I've done 2 out of 3 phases and Phase 4 is kind of starting, I don't feel like I'm even halfway, because with each phase as it goes, they inject more and more movies each year. So wish me luck on Phase 3. I can't wait to see you guys on the next one. It is gonna be awesome. So if you enjoyed this, consider subscribing. More Marvel reviews on the way. If you haven't already, consider dropping a like. Helps the algorithm, helps me out a lot. If you've made it all the way through to the end of this video, you're a bloody legend, and hopefully I can see you next time when we are tackling Phase 3 starting with Civil War. Bye guys.